So you're thinking about getting a drone. That's awesome. Well, here are a few things to consider before you go and make that purchase. So a drone is a big decision. It's a whole change up in how you're gonna approach photography and videography, and it can add a lot of depth and perspective to your work. And because it's a big change up, there are plenty of things to consider before just jumping right into buying a drone. I've owned a drone for a while now and I've really enjoyed my time with it, but there are a few things you might want to consider before adding this tool to your toolbox. First, let's start off with the things I don't particularly love about the drone. So surrounding drone photography and videography, there are a ton of rules and regulations. To fly for commercial use, you have to have a pilot's license from the FAA, and that's a lot of time and it can be some money to do, as well as just making sure you're flying responsibly, flying in areas that you're not endangering anybody or not flying near any aircraft. Making sure you're in a good spot to fly your drone, making sure you're not close to an airport, making sure that you're not flying above people or too close to people often. There's a ton of things to consider when flying your drone, and so rules and regulations can really put a damper on things because you'll see a picture in your head, but there's an airport a mile away and you can't fly there. A lot of these rules you won't really have to worry with if you're just using your drone for personal work, posting to Instagram, that kind of thing, building a portfolio. As soon as you start to do commercial work, you're gonna need to really look into what you need to fly for money. If you're here watching this video, you're probably the type of person that wants to think really hard before just jumping into a whole new style of photography, and that's a good thing. I think that a drone is a whole new frontier for a lot of people, and it may not be one that you need. If you're a photographer that specializes in something like food and portraits, a drone is probably not the next piece of kit you need to buy. I'm not saying don't ever buy it, because I'm sure you can find a cool way to use it, but it may not be the thing for you. I'm somebody that does commercial and brand work, as well as I really enjoy a lot of landscape photography. So a drone was sort of a natural next step for me in my photography because it fits what I do. That's just something you might want to take into consideration before purchasing a drone. If you're somebody that does pet photography, then a drone may not be the exact right thing for you. You may want another prime lens or a flash, or I don't know what pet photographers use, whatever they use. Buy that next. When it comes to flying a drone, this is a whole new experience for most people. Most people aren't flying airplanes on their days off, and so getting a drone and flying it well can be really tricky for a lot of people. And there can be a pretty steep learning curve just because it's a whole new frontier, so to speak. You're up in the air, you've never been up in the air before with a camera. You're having to control this aircraft and get it exactly the way you want it for this shot. It's a lot of work. And especially if you're doing video, you have to create engaging and interesting shots 300 feet up in the air. That's not the easiest thing to do. As soon as you send it up into the sky, you're gonna learn something new. That's the way it holds for me. I learned something even just yesterday flying the drone around. But that's a good thing. You're pushing yourself, you're pushing your knowledge. Learning something new is a good thing. It's good for your brain. And this is only going to make your work better. Now, this is not necessarily something I don't like, but it's not necessarily a positive either. You need to spend a lot of time finding the right drone for what you need. Now, DJI is who I fly. There are other people that make drones. You can really buy from whoever you want, but for this video, I'm going to strictly be speaking about DJI because they're who I know. As technology improves, drone cameras and drone flying ability is getting better and better every day. Because of this, you're able to get away with smaller and smaller drones, like the brand new DJI Mavic Mini. Has a fantastic camera, great battery life, shoots great footage. It's a great little drone, and it's gonna be inexpensive because it's so small. But with its price tag comes certain drawbacks, like its video shooting capability, things of that nature. So find the drone that is gonna work best for exactly what you need. I personally have the DJI Mavic Air 2. It's sort of right in the middle, not too expensive, but it also isn't the cheapest drone they have either. And it's worked fantastic for me. Anything I've needed it to do, it's done above and beyond. It shoots any kind of video I need, it shoots fantastic still images, and the total price of that drone, all things considered, was about $1,100. As I touched on briefly, a drone unlocks a ton of new possibilities for your photography as well as your videography. The perspective you gain from drone shots really can help you establish a scene. The big, giant, sweeping, wide shot is fantastic for showing the location you're in, whether you're traveling somewhere like Bali or Iceland, where these giant, large, grand, sweeping landscapes are everywhere. Having a drone, in my opinion, is the only way to really capture things like that, unless you're flying around in a helicopter or something, but most of us don't get to do that. I finished up a project recently called Funro Friday, and this was just showcasing landmarks of my city, Monroe, Louisiana, in different ways, new and interesting ways that they've never been shot before. Things like Black Bayou or Forsyth Park needed a drone to help tell things about them. There really just isn't a way to fully capture Forsyth Park without viewing it from the air. Black Bayou and Forsyth Park were two of my best performing locations for that project. And I think it was due in part to the drone. A drone really allows you to get some shots that just can't be duplicated by anything else. For that reason, it was definitely worth it for me. It unlocked a whole new portion of my photography that I didn't even know existed, but I'm thankful it's there now. If you're dead set now on buying a drone, I would recommend the DJI Mavic Air 2, but the Mavic Mini is great. Just really anything from DJI is gonna hit it out of the park for you. And if you're not quite sure yet, go and find some reviews on YouTube for other kinds of drones or other people giving their thoughts on whether or not a drone is worth it to buy. They're all great. I watched most of them before I got my drone, so I can vouch for just about all of them. A drone is only going to make your work better and more interesting, as long as you take the time to learn how to do it right. All in all, I'd say a drone was totally worth it for my photography as well as my videography. It's become an invaluable piece of my kit, and I would do worse without it. If I taught you something you didn't know or explained something you thought you knew, please let me know. I'd love to hear about it. If you have any questions about a drone or anything else related to photography or videography, please feel free to ask them. I'd love to help if I can. I think that's about it. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you later.